Captain Junho Kim stood at the wide window of Earth Defense Station Alpha, his eyes fixed on the massive black ship that hung in Earth's orbit. The alien vessel was 5 miles long and shaped like a blade. Its dark hull seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it. "How long has it been there?" Junho asked, his voice tight. Lieutenant Dahi Park checked her screen. 37 hours, sir. No movement since it arrived." Junho touched the long scar that ran from his temple to his jaw, a habit when he was deep in thought. The scar was a reminder of humanity's last great war 10 years ago. That conflict had finally united Earth under one banner. Now they faced something far worse. "Any response to our messages?" he asked. "None, sir," Dahi replied. "Until—" Her console lit up with warning lights. "Captain, they're broadcasting something." Every screen on the station suddenly showed the same image. A tall figure with shiny blue-green scales and 4 arms stood against a background of stars. Its head was shaped like a narrow triangle with 3 yellow eyes arranged in a line. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move. Instead, the words appeared in everyone's mind directly. "Humans of Earth. We are the Talixian Collective. We have studied your world for decades. Your resources now belong to us. Your people will serve us. This is not a request. This is your future." The message repeated worldwide. On every phone, computer, television, and radio, people heard the same cold words. Panic spread quickly. In major cities, some people began to riot. Others packed their belongings and fled to the countryside. 6 hours later, the United Earth Defense Council gathered in their underground chamber beneath the ruins of Old Geneva. 24 military leaders and scientists sat around a large, round table, their faces grim. Admiral Eunji Park, head of Earth Space Forces, stood to deliver her report. Her gray-streaked hair was pulled back in a tight bun, and her uniform was perfectly pressed despite the crisis. "The alien ship carries weapons we can barely understand," she said, showing holographic images of the vessel. "Our scans show energy, readings that suggest they could destroy our major cities with a single strike. Their shields would stop all our missiles and lasers. Our current weapons would be like throwing rocks at a tank." Silence fell over the room. Then Junho stood up. "So we don't use our current weapons," he said. All eyes turned to him. At 42, Junho was younger than most of the council, but his tactical mind had earned him respect. "With all due respect, Captain Kim," said General Tae-woo Choi, "if our best weapons are useless, what do you suggest? Surrender?" Junho's eyes hardened. "Humans don't surrender, General. We adapt. We find new ways to fight." The room's door slid open and Dr. Han-Sol Lee hurried in. His lab coat was wrinkled and his black hair stuck up in all directions. As Earth's leading expert on alien biology, he had been studying the Talixian message non-stop. "I have something," Han-Sol said, placing a small device on the table. "The Talixians made a mistake in their first contact with us." "What mistake?" Admiral Eunji asked. "They revealed how they communicate," Han-Sol explained, activating a screen that showed complex wave patterns. Their message wasn't just sound or video. It used direct neural transmission, a signal that interfaces with our brains. This means their own brains likely work on similar principles, but much more advanced. Junho leaned forward. "And that gives us a weapon?" Han-Sol nodded, pointing to his device. "This prototype can generate a frequency that should disrupt their neural networks. Not enough to kill them, but enough to give us an advantage." "How? Do we know it will work?" General Tae-woo asked. "We don't," Han-Sol admitted, "but it's a chance." Before anyone could respond, an aide rushed in. "The Talixians have sent another message. They demand our answer in 1 hour. They also say their ambassador is coming to receive our surrender personally." Junho looked around the table. "Then we'll give them our answer." 1 hour later, Junho stood in the Geneva Peace Hall, which had been chosen for the meeting. The room was large and empty except for a small delegation of humans. Security forces lined the walls, though everyone knew their weapons would be useless if the aliens attacked. A beam of light appeared in the center of the room, and the Talixian ambassador materialized. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, the alien was even more intimidating in person. Its scaled skin shifted colors slightly as it moved, and its forearms ended in hands with 7 long fingers each. The 3 yellow eyes blinked in sequence rather than together. "You will now formally submit to the collective," the alien's voice echoed directly in their minds. "Your world is the 47th to join our empire. Resistance has proven futile for all species before you." The delegation parted, and to the ambassador's apparent surprise, Jun-Ho stepped forward instead of the expected political leader. "I'm Captain Jun-Ho Kim of Earth's Defense Force," he said calmly. "I've been chosen to deliver humanity's response." The alien's middle eye narrowed. "You send a warrior rather than a leader? Curious. State your submission." Jun-Ho stood straight, his face showing no fear. "Humanity has a history of facing threats, Ambassador. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and our own wars. Each time, we emerge stronger." "Your history is irrelevant," the ambassador said. "Your technology is primitive. You cannot stand against us." "Perhaps," Jun-Ho agreed. "But there's something you should know about humans." He took one step closer. "We don't kneel. Not to kings, not to dictators, and certainly not to aliens who threaten our home." The ambassador's scales darkened, with what might have been anger. "Then you choose extinction." "No," Jun-Ho said. "We choose to fight." With that, he pressed a button on the small device hidden in his palm. Han Sol's prototype. The effect was immediate. The ambassador's body stiffened, and its mental voice fragmented into painful static in everyone's minds. The alien fell to its knees, all 4 arms clutching its triangular head. "What is this?" It managed to broadcast, the mental voice now weak and broken. Jun-Ho looked down at the creature. "That's humanity's answer. Take it back to your leaders." Security. Forces moved in, securing the now weakened ambassador. In orbit, the Talixian ship had begun to move, but Earth's defenses were now on high alert. In the control room, Admiral Yunji watched as the prototype's effect spread through what they now realized was a neural link between the ambassador and the ship. "It works," she breathed, "but they'll adapt quickly." "Then so will we," Jun-Ho said, joining her. "This is just the beginning." On screens around the world, people watched as the massive alien ship retreated to a higher orbit. For the first time since the Talixians had arrived, there was hope. "Send word to all military bases," Jun-Ho ordered, "and to every lab, university, and research center on the planet. We need everything, new weapons, shields, anything that could help." "And if they attack before we're ready?" Yunji asked. Jun-Ho's hand went to his scar. "Then we make them pay for every inch of ground. Humans have always been at our best when facing impossible odds." As he spoke, more Talixian ships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. The war for Earth had begun. 3 months had passed since first contact. The world was now a different place. Su-Min Choi moved quietly through the ruins of what was once downtown Seoul. The city that had once shined with bright lights and tall buildings was now mostly broken concrete and twisted metal. In the distance, the massive Talixian control tower rose above the destruction, its blue-green surface glowing even in daylight. Su-Min pulled her hood lower to hide her face and checked the small device on her wrist. The screen showed no alien patrols nearby. Her stealth generator was working well. The small backpack-sized machine bent light around her, not making her invisible but making her harder to spot on alien scanners. Before the invasion, Su-Min had been a quantum physicist at Seoul National University. Now she led one of Earth's largest resistance cells. She reached a broken subway entrance and tapped a pattern on a hidden panel. A section of wall slid open, revealing a narrow passage. Su-Min hurried inside and the wall closed behind her. The underground base was busy with activity. Nearly 200 people worked in the large space that had once been a subway maintenance area. Some were soldiers who had escaped when the military fell. Others were ordinary people, teachers, drivers, students, who had chosen to fight rather than live under alien rule. "Commander!" Jihobak called out. The young communications expert waved Su-min over to his station. We received a message from the Tokyo cell. They successfully tested the new jamming device. Su-min smiled. Good news was rare these days. Any word from Captain Kim's team? Jiho shook his head. Nothing since they went dark last week. Su-min tried not to worry. After the failed Talixian ambassador meeting, Captain Junho Kim had become a symbol of human resistance. His team was trying to establish contact with other potential alien species who might help Earth. Commander, a new voice called. Young Ho Kang approached, wiping grease from his hands with an old rag. The former engineering student now created weapons for the resistance. I need to show you something. Young Ho led Su-min to his workshop area. On his table sat what looked like a small metal insect. What is this? Su-min asked. Our new way inside their ships, Young Ho said proudly. He picked up the metal bug. The Talixians see our air as toxic, right? They filter everything before it enters their ships, but their waste systems have to release materials. Su-min understood immediately. You found a way in through their waste disposal, Young Ho nodded. These little friends carry a virus, not a biological one, a digital one. Once inside, they'll connect to the ship's systems and send us data, maybe even give us control of some functions. How many do you have ready? 20. We can release them tonight. Su-min placed a hand on Young Ho's shoulder. Good work. This could change everything. Just then, alarms sounded throughout the base. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Perimeter breach, Jiho shouted from his station. Multiple signals approaching from Sector 7. Su-min rushed to the main screen. It showed several red dots moving through the tunnels toward their base. How did they find us? Someone asked. The stealth generator must have failed, Su-min said. She turned to the room. Evacuation Plan Delta. Move all research materials first. We have 10 minutes. The base erupted into organized chaos. People grabbed equipment and headed for the escape tunnels. Young Ho carefully packed his metal bugs. Su-min went to a locked cabinet and entered a code. Inside was a round device with a blinking light. Commander, you can't stay behind, Jiho said, seeing what she was doing. I'm not, Su-min assured him. But we can't let them take our base intact. She set the timer on the device. This place will be gone in 12 minutes, now go. As her people evacuated, Su-min went to the command center computer. She needed to wipe all their data and send one last message. The sound of alien weapons echoed from the outer tunnels. They were getting closer. Su-min typed quickly, sending the files on Young Ho's metal bugs to all other resistance cells worldwide. If she couldn't use them, others would. The main door to the command center shook as something powerful hit it from outside. Time to go, Su-min muttered to herself. She pressed the final key to delete their systems and ran for the hidden exit at the back of the room. Just as she reached it, the main door exploded inward. 3 Talixian soldiers entered, their forearms each holding different weapons. Their yellow eyes scanned the room and found Su-min. She pulled out a small device, one of Han Sol-Lee's neural disruptors. It had been improved since first contact. She pressed the button. The aliens stumbled, their mental communication disrupted. It wouldn't last long, but it gave Su-min the seconds she needed to escape into the tunnel. She ran through the darkness, counting the turns. Left, right, left. Behind her, she heard more aliens entering the base. They would search everything, but they would find nothing. In 7 minutes, the whole place would be debris. Su-min reached the exit point, a narrow shaft that led to a drainage pipe. As she climbed, a massive explosion shook the tunnel. The aliens had found the bomb early and tried to disarm it. They failed. The blast pushed Su-min upward through the shaft. She emerged from a storm drain 3 blocks away, coughing and covered in dust, but alive. In the sky above, 2 Talixian ships moved toward the explosion site. Su-min stayed in the shadows and made her way to the backup meeting point. 2 hours later, Su-min found her team gathered in an abandoned hotel basement. Most had made it out safely, though they had lost some equipment and supplies. What now, Commander? Young Ho asked. The young engineer had saved all 20 of his metal bugs. Sumin looked at the tired faces around her. These people had lost homes, families, and their old lives. Yet they still fought. The Talixians thought we would give up by now, she said. Their studies of other species showed that most surrender when faced with superior power. They expected humans to value survival above all else. She pulled out a small tablet that showed a map of the city with a large structure highlighted. They were wrong about us, Sumin continued. Humans fight hardest when things seem hopeless. And now we're going to show them just how wrong they were. She pointed to the highlighted building, the Talixian command ship that had landed in what was once Olympic Park. Tonight we deploy Young-Ho's bugs, we get inside their systems, and then we hit them where it hurts. Around the room, people straightened their backs and lifted their chins. Hope was a powerful thing. The Talixians have conquered hundreds of worlds, Sumin said, but they've never faced humans before. As she spoke, her tablet beeped with an incoming message. She read it and smiled for the first time in days. Captain Kim's team is alive, she announced, and they've found something important, coordinates to the Talixian homeworld. A cheer went up from the gathered resistance fighters. It wasn't just about survival anymore. Now, they had a target. That night, 20 small metal bugs crawled into the waste vents of the Talixian command ship. By morning, humans would have access to alien secrets that would change the course of the war. The resistance wasn't just holding on, it was growing stronger. 1 year had passed since the Talixians first appeared in Earth's sky. 1 year of fighting, hiding, and learning. 1 year of refusing to surrender. General Ji-Woo Park stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, the first human ship capable of faster-than-light travel. The ship had been built in secret, deep inside a hollowed-out mountain. Most of its technology had been stolen from the Talixians themselves. Ji-Woo looked around the bridge at her crew. Each person had been chosen for their skills and courage. They were about to do something no humans had ever done before. Take the fight to an alien world. Status report, Ji-Woo ordered, her voice calm despite the tension she felt. Lieutenant Daehyun Kwan looked up from his station. All systems ready, General. The other 11 ships report ready as well. 12 ships. It seemed so small against the hundreds in the Talixian fleet. But these ships carried humanity's best weapons and brightest minds. On screen, Ji-Woo said. The large view screen showed the other ships of Earth's first space fleet. They were smaller than the Vengeance, but each had been built with a specific purpose. Some were fast attack vessels, others carried powerful weapons. 2 were medical and research ships. Ji-Woo pressed a button on her command chair. This is General Park to all ships. Today we take the next step in our fight for Earth. The Talixians came to our home and demanded we kneel. Instead, we will show them how humans fight back. She paused, looking at the faces of her bridge crew. The Talixians believe space combat is beyond our understanding. They think we are too primitive to challenge them among the stars. Ji-Woo smiled slightly. Let's prove them wrong. Cheers came through the communication system from all 12 ships. Prepare for jump to light speed, Ji-Woo ordered. The stars on the view screen suddenly stretched into lines and the fleet vanished from Earth's solar system. Dr. Min Seo-yoon worked in her lab aboard the UES Discovery, the fleet's main science vessel. She had made the breakthrough that allowed humans to strike back at the Talixians. Doctor, we'll reach Proxima Centauri in 10 minutes, her assistant said. Min Seo nodded. She looked at the container in front of her. Inside was what appeared to be a small piece of living tissue. It was actually a sample from a damaged Talixian ship. Their vessels are partly alive, she explained to the group of soldiers who had come for a final briefing. They grow their ships rather than build them, and like all living things, they have immune systems. She pressed a button, and the tissue in the container began to turn black. This is our new weapon, Min Seo said. A virus designed specifically for Talixian ship tissue. It doesn't just damage them, it makes them attack themselves. One of the soldiers frowned. How do we deliver it? Their shields are still too strong for our missiles. Min Seo smiled. We don't need to get through their shields. The virus is transmitted by a special energy frequency. Their shields actually help spread it through their hulls. An alarm sounded throughout the ship. We've arrived, Minseo said. Let's see if our work pays off. The human fleet emerged from Lightspeed near Proxima Centauri. This star system was home to a major Talixian staging area where they gathered ships and supplies for their invasion of Earth. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Jiwoo watched as her tactical display showed 30 Talixian warships in orbit around the system's fourth planet. They've spotted us, Daehyun reported. They're moving to attack Formation Alpha 3. Jiwoo nodded. The Resistance had gathered extensive data on Talixian battle tactics over the past year. They always used the same formations and responses, like they were following a rule book that never changed. They fight like machines, Daehyun observed. Same patterns, same responses. Jiwoo smiled. Then let's show them how humans fight. She opened a channel to the fleet. All ships execute battle plan chaos. The human ships suddenly broke from their tight formation and scattered in different directions. To the Talixians, it must have looked like panic or a mistake. It was neither. 3 smaller human ships raced directly toward the largest Talixian vessel. The alien ship fired energy weapons, but the human ships moved in unpredictable patterns, making them hard to hit. Now, Jiwoo ordered. The 3 human ships activated their special transmitters. Invisible energy waves pulsed outward, carrying Minseo's virus. When the energy hit the Talixian ship's shields, it spread across the entire surface, just as planned. First, nothing seemed to happen. Then slowly, dark patches appeared on the massive alien ship. The patches spread quickly, like ink on wet paper. It's working, Daehyun said in amazement. The Talixian ship began to fire its weapons, but not at the human vessels. It fired at other Talixian ships nearby. The virus is affecting their command systems, Jiwoo explained. They can't tell friend from enemy anymore. Confusion spread through the Talixian fleet. Some ships tried to retreat. Others continued to follow their standard attack patterns, not adapting to the new threat. Phase 2, Jiwoo ordered. The human fleet regrouped and began targeted attacks on the Talixian supply depots and communication hubs. These weren't heavily defended because the Talixians had never expected an attack this far from Earth. On the IG main view screen, Jiwoo watched as one of the largest Talixian ships tried to escape the battle. Its once smooth hull was now covered in black patches, and it moved awkwardly like a wounded animal. General, Daehyun called out. We're picking up strange signals from that ship. It's trying to jump to light speed, but the coordinates it's setting. He looked up, his eyes wide. It's heading for the Talixian homeworld. Jiwoo understood immediately. Track it. Record everything. The damaged Talixian ship vanished into light speed, leaving behind chaos. By the time the battle ended 3 hours later, the human fleet had destroyed 19 Talixian vessels and damaged 8 more. Only 3 escaped undamaged. The staging area that had been built to launch attacks on Earth was now a field of debris. Casualties? Jiwoo asked quietly. We lost the Aurora and the Defiant, Daehyun reported sadly. The Phoenix is damaged but repairable. 2 ships lost out of 12. Over 300 brave humans gone. The price was high, but they had achieved something incredible. Humanity's first victory in space. Later, on the captured Talixian communication hub, Jiwoo and Minseo made a chilling discovery. Look at this, Minseo said, pointing to a star chart. These red marks, they're worlds the Talixians conquered. Jiwoo counted them. 46 worlds before Earth. But here's the strange part, Minseo continued. She pressed a series of symbols, and most of the red marks disappeared from the chart. In their official records, only 28 conquered worlds are listed. What happened to the others? Jiwoo asked. Minseo's face was grim. According to these files, they were removed from the Galactic record. Complete destruction. No survivors. Jiwoo stared at the screen. Why? Because they kept fighting, Minseo said quietly. Like us. The Talixians erased them as a warning. To others. Jiwoo stood in silence for a moment. Then she straightened her back. Send all of this to Earth Command, she ordered. And prepare the fleet. We've learned what we came for. Which is, Minseo asked. The coordinates to Talix Prime, Jiwoo said. Their homeworld. As the human fleet prepared to return to Earth, they carried with them not just the means to continue the fight, but the knowledge that they weren't the first to resist the Talixians. They would, however, be the first to win. 3 years had passed since the Talixians first appeared over Earth and demanded humanity's surrender. 3 years of struggle, innovation, and sacrifice. Now, the tables had turned in a way no one could have imagined. Supreme Commander Jae-sung, Ryu stood before the massive holographic display in the war room of the U.S. Retribution, Earth's newest and largest warship. The display showed a beautiful blue-green planet with 3 small moons, Talix Prime, the homeworld of the Talixian Collective. I never thought I'd see this day, Jae-sung said quietly. The room was filled with the captains of the 37 ships that now made up humanity's fleet. Some of the vessels were entirely human-built. Others were captured Talixian ships reprogrammed to serve Earth. All of them had journeyed across 12 light-years to reach this moment. 3 years ago, they came to our world and told us to kneel, Jae-sung addressed the assembled captains. They threatened our extinction. Now they understand what humans do when cornered. Captain Min-ji Song, commander of the UES Phoenix, stepped forward. The Talixian High Council has sent another message. Commander, Min-ji activated a smaller hologram. A Talixian appeared, its scales duller than those Jae-sung had seen before. It looked tired, perhaps even afraid. Humans of Earth, the alien's mental voice projected. We recognize your species as equals now. We offer peace. End this war before more lives are lost on both sides. We will withdraw from your world completely. The message ended and the room fell silent. They're scared, someone said. Jae-sung nodded. For the first time in their 1,000-year history of conquest, the Talixians face a species that not only refused to surrender, but managed to take the fight to their own doorstep. He turned to Ambassador Sunmi Oh, who stood quietly in the corner of the room. Once a linguistics professor at Seoul National University, Sunmi now represented Earth in all communications with alien species. What do you think, Ambassador? Jae-sung asked. Sunmi stepped into the center of the room. The Talixians destroyed 18 species who resisted them. Entire worlds were burned. Billions of lives erased from history. They only offer peace now, because they fear we will do the same to them. She looked around at the gathered captains. We are not like them. But we cannot accept peace while other worlds suffer under their control. Our terms must include freedom for all conquered species. The captains nodded in agreement. Humanity had found allies among the stars, other species who had been forced to serve the collective. Prepare the fleet, Jae-sung ordered. Send our response to the Talixians. If they reject our terms, we attack in 6 hours. The Talixian response came 3 hours later. They rejected Earth's demands. They would not free their other subject worlds. Jae-sung stood on the bridge of the Retribution as the fleet moved into attack position. All ships report ready, Commander, said the tactical officer. Weapon systems charged. Jae-sung studied the Talixian defensive fleet. They had over 100 ships, but human intelligence had identified weaknesses in their formation. Begin. Phase 1, Jae-sung ordered. 10 small unmanned vessels shot forward from the human fleet. Each carried a special payload, Min Seo-yoon's improved virus, now capable of disabling Talixian systems without destroying their ships entirely. The Talixians fired on the small vessels, destroying 3, but the other 7 reached their targets, the main communication hubs that connected the defensive fleet. Phase 2, Jae-sung said. The human fleet split into 3 groups, one headed for the orbital defense platforms, another targeted the Talixian fleet's flagship, the third, led by the Retribution, headed straight for the planet. They're firing, the tactical officer reported. The space between the fleets lit up with energy weapons and missiles. Some hit human shields. Others were dodged by skilled pilots who had learned to predict Talixian attack patterns. Return fire, Jae-sung ordered calmly. Target their weapon systems only. This was the difference between humans and Talixians. The aliens would have destroyed Earth completely if they could. Humanity chose a more measured response. The battle raged for 2 hours. 7 human ships were lost, 23 Talixian vessels were destroyed, and 39 more disabled by the virus. We've broken through their defenses. The navigation officer reported. Entering low orbit now. Jae-sung opened a channel to all ships. This is Commander Ryu. Begin targeted strikes on military installations only. I repeat, military targets only. No civilian areas. The human fleet fired precision weapons at Talixian military bases, government buildings, and weapon factories. The strikes were surgical, designed to cripple the collective's ability to make war without destroying their civilization. From the bridge, Jae-sung watched as the Talixian capital city came into view. At its center stood a massive crystalline tower, the Hall of Conquest where the Talixian High Council ruled their empire. Bring us down, Jae-sung ordered. It's time to deliver our message in person. 2 hours later, Jae-sung and Sunmi walked into the ancient Talixian council chamber. With them came representatives from a dozen other species who had joined the human cause after being freed from Talixian control. The chamber was a vast room with walls made of a material that looked like flowing water frozen in time. The 9 members of the Talixian High Council sat on raised platforms looking down at the visitors. They seemed smaller somehow, less intimidating than the ambassador who had first demanded Earth's surrender. You could have destroyed us. The head counselor's mental voice was quiet. Why didn't you? Sunmi stepped forward. Because that is the difference between us. You conquer. We liberate. She activated a holographic display showing the terms of surrender. The Talixian Collective will release all conquered worlds, Sunmi stated. Your military will be reduced to defensive forces only. You will help rebuild the worlds you damaged, and you will join the new Galactic Concordat as equals, not rulers. And if we refuse? Another counselor asked. Jae-sung answered this time. Then we finish what we started. Not out of vengeance, but necessity. The choice is yours. The counselors conferred among themselves. Their mental communication closed to the visitors. Finally, the head counselor spoke. You misunderstood us fundamentally, the Talixian said. We believed strength was measured by a species' willingness to submit when faced with superior power. We thought surrender was rational. The counselors' scales shifted to a deep blue, a sign of respect in Talixian culture. Humans showed us a different kind of strength. You refused to kneel. You fought harder when threatened with extinction. And when you won, you chose mercy over revenge. The counselor rose. We accept your terms. 1 year later, Captain Jun-ho, Kim stood on the observation deck of humanity's first deep space colony. His hair had gone completely gray, and the scar on his face had faded somewhat. He watched the sun rise over the new world that humans now shared with several other species freed from Talixian rule. Earth was recovering. The Talixians had withdrawn completely, and the damage they had caused was slowly being repaired. More importantly, humanity had found its place among the stars. The Galactic Concordat now included 27 species, with more joining as news spread of the Talixian Empire's fall. Earth, once considered a primitive backwater, was now the center of this new alliance based on mutual respect rather than dominance. Thinking deep thoughts, Captain? A voice asked. Jun-ho turned to see Ambassador Sunmi approaching. She had just returned from a diplomatic mission to a newly discovered world. Just reflecting, Jun-ho said with a small smile. They told us to kneel, not knowing that humans stand tallest when the odds are worst. Sunmi nodded. That's going into the history books, you know. Future generations will learn about how humanity faced extinction and instead found its destiny among the stars. Jun-ho looked back at the rising sun. I hope they also learn the most important lesson, which is that true strength isn't in conquering others, Jun-ho said. It's in lifting them up when you could have pushed them down. As a fleet of new Earth ships passed overhead, heading out to explore more of the galaxy, Jun-ho thought about how far humanity had come. From a single world threatened with slavery to the founders of a new galactic age, all because they refused to kneel. The end.